is, as always, my wonderful chat moderator and producer, DJ Martinez. Hello, DJ.
Hello. I also muted my mic, but I remembered to turn it back on. Right? Did I? Hello?
I can hear you. Yes, I sure can. And also tonight we've got Dan Torrey.
Hi, everybody.
For whom everyone has feelings, except for.
They don't exist.
Somebody in the comments was really confused about that title, and I've been saying that for years now, ever since I saw that Safe Auto commercial, and
yeah.
I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna play that commercial as our lead-in tonight, at the risk of getting copyright flagged or whatever. So there it is.
Hopefully, no one's like trying to get at the copyright for that. Hopefully, that's the one.
4-year-old autosave commercial.
Yeah.
I don't trust anything, man. Like, I'm sure we're demonetized now.
No, true.
We're probably demonetized for quoting it in the title.
Yeah, true.
Well, it's good to see you guys. Thanks a bunch for being here and hanging out with us, Dan. We always miss you when you're not here, and it's so exciting to bring you back.
Both as well, and thanks for having me. It's always good to be here.
Tonight we're going to do a regular Ask Me Anything show for a couple hours. If you guys want to carry it on that long, you shall be, not you, Dan, don't get excited. You folks watching the show will be, DJ, it's not you either, will be responsible for keeping the show moving along. You guys will get to decide what we talk about, so whatever sounds fun to you, leave us questions and comments, and we will answer as many things as humanly possible this evening. If you want to make sure that your question, comment, topic of discussion is talked about on the show tonight, you can leave a super chat in any dollar amount. We sure appreciate everybody that will do or has ever done that, but don't feel like you have to do that. You can leave a pre-written question at DJ Martinez. He'll take a look at some of those as well, and if there's not a lot of super chats, we'll try to get to as many of those as we can as well. So tonight we have a lead-in topic. We're going to talk a little bit about something that YouTube is about to change, about to roll out, about the platform, and I kind of just wanted to open up for discussion with you guys after briefly telling you what the deal is and see how you guys feel about this. So I found out yesterday, and apparently they've been talking about doing this for a long time, that YouTube is about to take away public dislikes, meaning that, so the thumbs up, thumbs down, you'll still be able to leave a dislike. The as far as I understand, the upvotes will still be there, but you won't be able to see dislikes. So the creator that makes the video will be able to see it on the back end in analytics. And if a lot of people hate your video and they feel the need to thumbs down, even though no one else can see it, you'll still know how your video is relatively doing as far as, you know, how people are reviewing it. But everybody else won't be able to see that. And they claim that it's because smaller channels have a harder time when they get thumbs down real hard, and that like newer and smaller channels will sometimes get like thumb down bombed by people, and that makes it harder for them to grow, and it's unfair. So they're saying that it's a fairness thing. I'm wondering how much of it might not have more to do with big corporations putting up videos that a lot of people are thumbs downing, and it affecting their bottom line and it affecting their PR. When you see things like Nintendo recently put up a video about their new online add-on service with N64 and Sega Genesis games and all of that, and it's been doing really horribly, and everybody hates it because it is awful. And they had like the most thumbs down on that they've ever had in anything. You had things like the Ghostbusters 2016 trailer years ago. This kind of thing can affect like movie sales now and stuff. And so even if that isn't the reason that YouTube is doing this, it certainly is going to massively affect that moving forward. And it's hard for me not to think that that doesn't have something to do with it. Personally, as a creator, I'm of two minds about it, because in some ways it'll be nice not to have to worry about getting thumbs down bombed like that. Not that I've had it too terribly much myself, but occasionally you'll put up a review that you think you did, you know, as good of a job that you could on it, and people just don't agree with you. So the thumbs down isn't, I didn't like your video, it's, or like how you put it together, it's, I just don't agree with you. You had a bad take, a phrase that we throw around way too much these days, because sometimes a bad take is simply, I didn't like the thing you said, that isn't what I would have said. That's a bad take. And so it's kind of nice now that like a Thor Ragnarok or a Dark Knight Rises or something from me won't immediately get a million thumbs downs just because people don't think I'm right about a thing. And it's fine, you don't have to think I'm right about it, but does it mean my video is bad? I don't know. It's a question. So I mean, in some ways it'll be kind of nice not to have to deal with that. As a user looking at YouTube, it's gonna not be nice to click on a video and not immediately know if you're being trolled or something by the thumbs downs. Very often, if there's a bazillion thumbs downs, it's because that wasn't a real trailer, that was a fake trailer, and stuff like that. So you won't be able to sniff out stuff like that as quickly. So anyway, those are my 2 cents, and now I want to open it up to these guys. Dan, how do you feel about this whole thing?
I tend to agree with you. I think all of the things you mentioned, it's probably a confluence of reasons as to why they got rid of it. I think, big businesses being unhappy with people not liking their videos and stuff, and like people bandwagoning and stuff is probably a part of it. And I think like there is, a degree of toxicity with some of the stuff people do with it sometimes. But there, I don't know. I think maybe I wonder about how it affects the algorithm, about like which videos are like viewed on the homepage and stuff. Because I know that like at the beginning of a lot of YouTube videos, everyone says like, please like and subscribe to do all those kind of things to make it, a better chance that they get more exposure and all those kind of things. I don't know if they'll have to change that if the like dislike ratio stuff is invisible to people. I don't know.
One thing I do know, Dan, related to that is that. Sorry, one thing I do know related to that is that the thumbs down going away publicly isn't going to affect your own personal, like how the algorithm feeds you things. So if you thumbs down a thing, it will still try to not give you things like that video.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah, because the thumbs down is not going away, like Cap said. It'll still work all in the back end. It's just people can't see it.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't really like bother me because I personally don't. Most of the videos that I like or dislike on YouTube, it's like to support, people that I'm friends with. But other than that, like most of my YouTube watch time, I don't bother to do any of those things. I personally will search things or look at the things that are suggested to me on my homepage and never really do that stuff. I don't know if that makes me a bad like YouTube video watcher or whatever, but I don't know. It doesn't really affect my viewing experience too much, so I don't have a strong opinion about it. What do you think, DJ? Because you're like a creator now.
Yeah, a baby creator.
Yeah.
Well, that's what he said. You're like one.
I love it when you describe me with similes. No, yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat actually. I've never once clicked a thumbs down. I don't know. I think that's just mean. like Cap said, I don't like how just 50-50 it is. Like it's kind of useless. Like I would much rather you leave a helpful comment with constructive criticism saying why you don't like the video, because I can't really do anything with a thumbs down. So I don't know. I honestly am okay with it. I think it's if it drives more people to leave comments, and which is more helpful, and if it doesn't, if it keeps people from like I read the article that YouTube put out. They said they did an experiment and it helped. It kept people from just jumping on bandwagons and just thumbing things down just to drive the number up. Like if they can't see the number, they might not be as motivated. I know some people will still do it just to be a jerk anyway, but I don't. Yeah, like I said, like Dan said, it's not really affected me too much. I don't use that feature. I just use the thumbs up to support people that I like, and I think that can be more useful for algorithms and stuff because all other social media outlets just have a like Instagram just has a heart, Facebook just has the reactions, which even the reactions on Facebook are more helpful than just a thumbs up or thumbs down. Like they have like different reactions with just subtle differences.
Imagine if YouTube had the throw up emoji.
Yeah. That would be more helpful than just a thumbs down because like Cap said, I don't know why you disliked it. I don't know if you disagreed with my opinion or if you actually didn't like my production or what. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't think it's that big of a loss. I think people just hate change. But I know some people have some legitimate reasons for disliking it. But yeah, I think if it helps stupid people like Snyder people who thumbs down every Sony or every Warner Brothers production just because it's not the Snyderverse isn't back. Like that's annoying and an abuse of the system, and I hate stuff like that.
Well, and that's why I say I'm of two minds about it, because you're right, it'll curb that kind of thing. I think the experiment is a little bit silly. Like, of course that's what happened, right? Like, because I've heard some a little bit of analysis on this about this on YouTube. Like, I listened to Review Tech USA's video about this, and I agree with him that it's hard to decide as a creator if this is a good thing or a bad thing. But I thought it was odd when he was saying that he figures that people will keep disliking even despite this, or like doing the dislike bomb thing. I don't think people do that to tell a creator anything. I think they do it to try to discredit very, very often. I don't mean this is the only reason people thumbs down, but I'm talking about the thumbs down bombing thing. When you see like a bazillion thumbs down on a video, especially something where you go, I mean, I thought that was fine. Why is everybody hating on this? It's very often because there's a bunch of people that all got together to try to make somebody else look bad, to try to discredit them in some way. And that's the only reason that I'm ever remotely concerned about having very many on a video, is I don't want new people to come in and look at a video and see like a lot more thumbs downs than thumbs ups and go, I'm not going to watch that guy. He must be, you know, like really lazy or terrible at his job, or he's not even trying or something, when the real reason that it's got that many thumbs downs is people just didn't like what I said. And of course, people are like fully within their rights to thumbs down a video of mine. I'm not saying don't do that. People apparently in the comments right now are thumbs downing this video, as Connor said, in solidarity, just to say we want to keep the thumbs down, so we're going to thumbs down this episode of the Captain Logan show.
Then you're proving their point that people are thumbs down bombing. That's the opposite of what you're trying to say.
Exactly. So when the experiment comes out, I don't know, Dan, I feel like there's a lot of these kinds of social experiments or scientific experiments where it's like, yeah, no kidding, Sherlock. Like, we did this experiment, and we found that fewer people are thumbs downing videos and trying to thumbs down bomb stuff if everybody can't see it. Well, yeah, that's because it's not going to affect the public perception of that creator anymore. That's why people do it. You know, right. Of course. So, like, I think after a while, it just won't even matter that the thumbs down button is there, because I think people will kind of forget about it if they can't see that number. The reason I'm remotely concerned about this, because, yeah, as a creator, it probably helps me more than it hurts me, honestly, to not have that. I'm just concerned about YouTube's constant, like, trying to get rid of any kind of negativity possible, because yeah, the internet is definitely overall too negative, and more of that is in YouTube comments in my mind than kind of anywhere. But I'm concerned that this could lead
Scum of the earth. YouTube comments.
I'm worried this could lead to more censorship. I'm not saying that this itself is censorship, but I'm worried that it could be the beginning of a domino effect that leads to more of that. YouTube is already demonetizing videos because of language they don't like, because of subject matter they don't like, things like that. And I'm concerned that, well, we don't want any kind of negativity on, like, underneath a video either. So we're going to get rid of dislikes. At what point do they start getting rid of negative comments? That's my question, is when does that happen?
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, policing every video's comment section for negative comments is kind of impossible, but who knows if...
Which is why they'll try to put in an algorithm to do it for you, because that's how they answer everything.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I think that stuff, I think the whole, like, not putting people's videos in the algorithm and, like, demonetizing them just based on words they say in them is much more troublesome than the thumbs down thing. I think that's problematic for sure. Especially when context doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, but I think it is reason to worry that this might lead to other stuff that I mean, like do you guys agree that it would be not great if they started doing that? Like,
yeah, for sure.
Anything else you guys want to say about this before we move on?
Are you hearing echoing, Dan?
I am, yes.
Okay, I'll see what I can do about that. I might have to flip the headphones here.
All right, that's why I was talking weird, because I was hearing myself. What is happening?
Oh, you totally could have mentioned that before 15 minutes into the show.
No, it just started happening.
Oh, good. Okay. I was worried that was
Yeah, it was very recent.
the whole time. Okay, DJ, go ahead and start throwing some questions at us, unless either of you guys want to weigh in on that anymore.
Well, Tom actually said in his super chat, what are your thoughts on the no more thumbs down thing? So I'm glad we talked about that.
Yeah.
And then the rest of his super chat is just as hard hitting and important. Crab boil should always come in a bag. What are your favorite seafoods?
Favorite seafoods?
Crab oil.
Boil.
I like salmon and lobster a lot.
Yeah, I get salmon usually if I go.
Sorry, I'm trying to fix this sound issue. Are you guys still hearing echoing?
No, it's good now, as far as I can tell.
Okay, let me
so,
know
yeah.
if it comes back, because I'm gonna have to kind of rearrange my whole everything if we got to do that.
No, it sounds good right now, so I think you're good.
Okay. Just let me know real quick if that comes back,
Okay.
and I'll fix it. We may have to go to the title screen for a couple of seconds while
Okay.
while
We'll just play the
everything.
commercial with Dan again.
I'll just put it back. I should just save that for any time we have technical difficulties. Oh God, it's the everyone has feelings except Dan video again.
Intermission. That's just what, like, once we get to those crazy Marvel Manias, like, that are really long, like, isn't Eternals like 2.5 hours or something? We'll have to play the intermission with
2:27.
Dan's commercial.
What I should do is cut out the Spawn Your Movie intermission and just start playing that. Because that's one of my favorite things I ever filmed. Just me in the Spawn suit dancing around with like the cape spinning around and stuff. And that song is like bum 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 bum. And it just says intermission in huge letters across it and it's like 10 minutes long. And I did that whole thing with no cuts. So like I've never had a harder time breathing when I finished anything, because you can't breathe in that latex mask. It was a bad move, but it's hilarious. I'm really happy with it. It was worth it. I suffer for my art.
But yeah, what seafood do you like, Cap? Are you a seafood guy?
Seafood. Sorry, I didn't even hear the question. I just heard something about crab boil something.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to figure out the sound thing. I like crab. I like lobster on occasion. I have to be in just the right mood for it. I'm real picky about fish. I like tilapia, which is the fish for people who don't like fish, and I have to be in exactly the right mood for salmon, but occasionally I'll eat some salmon, but I'm a huge sushi guy now. I eat sushi on a weekly, if not twice a week basis now, so I do eat a lot of raw fish because of that. That's been a huge part of my new diet ever since I cut out a lot of things, so...
Yeah, salmon's my go-to, but my only problem with salmon is it's expensive. So they always give you like a tiny little portion, and I eat so much food that I'm always still very, very hungry after I finish my little piece of salmon.
Yeah.
I went to a restaurant yesterday for lunch with my wife, and the guy left like this much salmon. I'm like, how big was the salmon? He didn't even touch it. He took like 2 bites of the salmon. I'm like, what? I wanted to eat his salmon off his plate. My wife said no. I wasn't really going to do that, but I was upset at how much salmon he left on his plate. It was upsetting.
You guys ever eat swordfish? That's another favorite of mine.
Ooh, I've had that maybe one time, and I remember liking it, but...
Swordfish is good. If you get like swordfish steaks, they're really good.
I am hearing you. I am hearing Dan echo again. That's weird how it keeps coming and going.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to go to the title for just a minute, everybody. Nobody panic. We'll be right back in just a moment.
Dun, 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 dun.
And we're back.
Hey,
We have returned, folks.
welcome back.
All right, what else you got, DJ?
All right, Bob the Hun, taking away dislikes is a word I can't say.
It's
as
bull
the
stuff.
channel. It's a way to hide what people think. the unfunny late night shows, crappy music videos, and movie trailers. Yeah, we basically talked. We voiced that opinion.
I mean, there are a lot of crappy late night shows. That is true. I agree with that. There are some good ones. But...
It is important to note, and some of the bad ones are occasionally funny, but you're not going to watch them long enough to get to the 6 seconds you found amusing. I mean, I've always felt that way about Saturday Night Live since the era right before I was old enough to watch that.
Yeah, I think a lot of the crappy late night shows are the ones like James Corden's show, where they are clearly trying to make like a YouTube viral video that they can clip out and like put online and have people like, oh, this is really funny. James Corden singing in the car with Lady Gaga. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those are the ones that I'm like, I have no interest in that. But apparently people do. So
yeah, YouTube is a good marketing tool, but it's annoying when you like start changing the basis of the content on your show to fit on YouTube later. Like you're planning it out. It's weird.
Exactly. Yeah.
This would never happen because obviously this would affect YouTube's bottom line too much, and YouTube wants you to watch things and get stuff in your feed from big major corporations that make them more money. But wouldn't it be nice if you could click a button that just said, don't give me anything that was on television?
Yeah,
I feel like you should be able to do that on YouTube.
I was just thinking about this the other day. It would be so nice if you could get a streaming service. Like if there was a feature on Netflix where you could just like say, I never want to be shown this movie ever again. Like turn off specific movies. Like if you could curate your own streaming service where like, I'm never going to watch this. Stop showing me this. Like, I don't know. I mean, I guess that's problematic because maybe you'll change your mind someday, but like, I don't know, like music, you can do that. You can curate your music tastes a lot more than you can with streaming services.
Yeah, I thought Netflix used to have a thing where you could be like not interested. Maybe they don't do that anymore.
I think YouTube has that, and I like that.
Does it?
That's a good feature, YouTube. YouTube has a not interested feature.
I was going to say this earlier. There's a part of me, and I'm mixed on this too, because I don't actually think it would solve the problem, but there's a part of me that wishes that we'd go back to the star system. This is another thing Review Tech brought up, that we used to have, years ago, because I'm an old man now, we used to have the 5-star system, and you had this with Netflix had it too. A lot of websites did, where you could be a little bit more nuanced in your rating on something, and it wasn't just thumbs up, thumbs down, which people, and I feel this way too, often complain has turned us into too much of an all or nothing kind of society. But it's kind of like chicken and the egg thing, where it's like, well, how much of society got that way because we think too much in black and white like that, with the thumbs up, thumbs down, the Ebert and the Siskel and Ebert thing. Kind of ironic because Ebert was one of the most nuanced, writers for movies, and how much of it is just we're that way already, so that's what it turns into. Like, because Review Tech was like, well, the star rating, if we brought that back, people would just either rate 5 stars or 1 star. The ones in the middle wouldn't matter, so it made sense that we got rid of that. But there's still a part of me that misses that, because you could be a little bit more nuanced. It wasn't, this video is great, or cancel culture, I wish this person didn't exist. It's just, 3 stars, he gave it the old college try. Like, I kind of wish that was still there.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember Netflix used to have that too, and they changed it to the thumbs up, thumbs down, which they have now. They used to have, you could give things stars back in the early days of their streaming.
And I brought that up because on Netflix, I feel like and in streaming services in general, I feel like if you still had that, it would be easier, DJ, to not see stuff you don't want to see.
Yeah, like I've used the thumbs down thing before, but those things still come up, like, because Netflix has a million random playlist or whatever they call those things, where it's like hilarious dark teen comedies from the 90s, and these things still show up that I don't want to see. Like and there's already so much stuff to sift through. Like if I could get stuff out of there and clean it up a little bit, it would be much nicer.
Those things get so specific, and you wonder how in the world there's more than 1 or 2 entries sometimes in the lineup. Where it's like half-hearted comedies starring an aardvark that aired at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday, like, and then you'll have like 19 of them, and you're like, I didn't know we made that many shows starring an aardvark.
Dude, sometimes Netflix's like curation of genre is really bad too. Like it'll be like under comedy, taxi driver, and you're like, what?
There's one joke in there somewhere, Dan, and then they use it.
It's 2021. We've got to have the algorithm's got to be better than that. It's like Pandora. I used to use Pandora before I was using Spotify, and the whole point of that, the Music Genome Project, the whole point of that was you could get music that sounded similar to other things you like and get a radio playlist. And of course, a lot of places do that now. It's not just Pandora, but you'd be like, okay, let's make a playlist of things that sound like they might be giants, Pandora, and then it would give you like, you know, Nirvana or something, and you'd be like, I don't see it. Like I don't know what you're talking about, you know. Of course, CMBG lists are always like Weird Al, Cake, Bare Naked Ladies, Jonathan Colton, and nothing else. Like that's all you get with the TMBG list. That's just an aside.
Side rant. All right. CM Productions. Awesome show as always. What is a classic comics run that you have always wanted to read but never have? Also, can you remember all your kids' names?
Yes. Shut up. I don't have to prove myself to you. No, that's great.
What acronym do you use to remember all 5 of your kids' names? Like what sentence? Like is it with the planets?
I don't have that, but I should. That's an amusing notion. That's a tattoo I've been thinking about getting, though, is the first initial of each of my kids, but in the Kryptonian language. And
that's pretty cool.
Put them all together. And then, so I have 5 kids, so that would be 5 letters. And I probably mentioned this before. And then I thought about on one side, an arm, a leg, whatever, getting that. And then the other side, just my wife's name in total, because it's also 5 letters. And then they like complement each other. And yeah, I thought that would be a neat idea.
Yeah, man.
Cap's gonna have no skin left that's not tattooed at some point.
I'll reveal a thing
tattooed on his forehead.
People keep saying that. I'll reveal a thing if I remember it a little bit later about the tattoo thing that I'm considering doing on the show. It won't be an official announcement, but I'll tell you guys about it. There's a thing I'm thinking about doing that has to do with tattoos. Anyway, so as far as what was the other question? Well, I'll tell you my kids' names real quick in case I just have to prove it to you. So it's Jason, Freddie, and Mikey, and then it's Selena and Cassandra. So shush. Anyway,
what's a classic comics run that you've always wanted to read but haven't yet?
Dan, my big one is one that I know you're intimately familiar with, and that is Peter David's Hulk run, which I've just never done, and I need to because I love Peter David, but I've never been a Hulk guy. I've never really cared that much. Well, I mean, I do and I don't. You know what I mean? But like the Great Hulk stuff in particular, I need to finally sit down and do it, and I haven't.
Well, add me to that one. But then I also would want to read Simonson's Thor because you guys talk about it all the time, and I love fantasy stuff, so I should definitely get into that.
Oh yeah, you would love Simonson's Thor stuff because it's very influenced by like all of the cool high fantasy stuff that existed. He was influenced by all of that kind of stuff at the time when he wrote it and drew it. I'm trying to think. I have always really wanted to read through all of the Silver Age Flash stuff, which I haven't done. I've read like 2 volumes of the DC I forget what the volumes that they've been putting out recently, but they have like the Darwin Cook looking art on the front of them. I don't know if you guys have ever seen them, but I have like the first 2 volumes of that, and it goes from like Barry Allen's first appearance in this, as the Silver Age Flash, and then going up through like all of the issues collected in chronological order. And I think those comics are interesting just to see like what Silver Age stuff was like before Marvel came around. And it's very different because it's just kind of like a status quo for a character that contrives a different story in every issue, and they're very not serialized storytelling at all, and there's not really much continuity. Like you can read a Flash comic, it's almost exactly the same as the next issue, just with like a different bad guy and like a gimmick and stuff. But I think they're interesting because they're like wacky and like really dumb sometimes in a funny way. And I like that about them a lot. So that would be my pick off the top of my head.
Cool. This next one is just for me, and it's from Burned In.
Okay, I'm gonna send a message to Brandon while you're doing that. I got
He
to tell him
says
some things. So you carry on.
it's just an insult to me. He says, well, not an insult. It's classy. He says, DJ, Far From Home is my second favorite Spider-Man movie, and it makes me sad that you hate it. So here I am, forcing you to say, with $9.99, by the way.
Oh wow, thanks,
My
man.
my name is DJ, and I love Far From Home and The Dark Knight.
DJ, could you do me a favor
I
and
have
try
to
to
read
be
them.
more controversial more often? Because apparently it's profitable for me.
Yeah, it makes money. No, dude, I'm so glad you like Far From Home. I'm not trying to get anyone else to hate it. I just really, really didn't like that movie, and I didn't realize how much I didn't like it until we did that mania on it, and I had to watch it twice in 2 days. But yeah, I'm very happy that you get enjoyment out of that film. I wish I also did.
It's another one of those things, like, I brought this up on another show last week. It's another one of those things like praying for rain, right? If you ask God for it not to rain, there's somebody else that wants it to rain. Like, if you're like, oh, please always, like, say that you like things regardless of how you actually feel. There's somebody else that hated that movie that like you can't win on this. You have to speak your mind. And that should be the point in the first place, of course. And that guy was joking, and I'm not calling him out, but I'm just saying for folks that are sometimes like wishing that we would just validate their opinions, even if I wanted to do that, I can't read your mind, and there are other viewers that aren't with you on a thing. Yeah, you just gotta speak your mind. And we've been getting some complaints lately that everybody on the channel hates the MCU now, which is, first of all, not true, and second of all, yes, a lot of us have been more critical of it lately, because we don't feel like some of it is of the quality that it used to be, and it's gotten more formulaic. And then we put out, Connor and I, our review of Eternals, and I think some people's brains exploded because we actually really like that movie, and that's been polarizing, and it's the least well-reviewed movie for MCU on Rotten Tomatoes now. And I think some people are like, oh wait, I thought that they were just like on the MCU hating bandwagon now. What happened? It's like, yeah, we're just speaking our mind. Like, this one we liked a little more. We're just trying to call it like we see it.
Yeah, I'm interested to see that one because I know Connor really liked it, and we usually have similar tastes on a lot of things, not all things. But yeah, I'm interested to see that one. I really like Shang-Chi, and I'm interested to see that one. So I definitely
that strikes me as a
hate
kind
everything.
Of movie. I think you'll like that.
Cool.
Can I read a comment real quick before you go on to more super chats?
Absolutely.
I want to read a non-super chat comment from What Pisses Me Off. And he says,
"Oh, no, you missed an opportunity to read that in your Defoe voice."
This comment is from What Pisses Me Off.
You've really pissed me off.
Again.
With that, my trident that I have for 30 seconds in this movie.
Yes, it's the best.
It's a pop-out trident. It comes out of his arm or something. I don't know. It comes out of the suit somewhere.
Somebody on a show a while back was like, that's the reason he was cast in Aquaman, because he had that tiny trident.
That was his casting. What is it called?
Audition.
His audition. Yeah.
His casting thingy. What's the point of commenting if no one cares what I'm saying unless there's money? Well, I'm reading your comment to prove that that's not entirely the case. So
I would say, welcome to America, sir.
Okay, so I love that, but that's not wholly entirely fair. So when we started the Captain Logan show, we've always allowed for super chats, but it wasn't entirely super chat driven. I didn't even used to say at the beginning, like mention super chats at the beginning of the show. This became something of a supply and demand thing, where we got to a place where people realized that we would actually read their comments and talk about, and they could help steer the conversation if they left super chats. So more and more people have done it as we've gone along, and now it's become a thing where that's kind of the bread and butter of the show, and it's become enough of our take that it's kind of made doing this show more viable and doing it more often. So I mean, I think it's a win-win for everybody. When we have shows where we don't get very many super chats, we read a lot more of the comments that are pre-written, and so it's, you know, like I've always said, like, I really appreciate anybody ever consider doing that. But if it doesn't happen, we're still doing the show. I will say we do it more often than we might otherwise because there's been so much interest in it. We would, by the way, be doing it 2 days a week if I had time right now with my twins to do it 2 days a week. But it's just kind of worked out that way. We do some pre-written when we've got time, but when we open up a show like this and we've got 6, 7, 8 super chats, I'm so long-winded it's really hard to get to as many pre-written. And DJ will tell you there are weeks where the pre-written questions are 2 guys the whole show. Like, believe it or not, a lot more people are commenting in super chat.
Yeah, and we got to prioritize those guys because they're paying money, and I don't want to get so behind that we don't even get to their questions. Which sometimes happens, and we have to get to the end of the show and go a little over time.
But I want to thank what pisses me off for giving me the opportunity to do the Defoe thing, and I wish I'd thought of it before somebody else mentioned that.
That's an amazing comment. Thanks for popping in. Hopefully you leave more entertaining comments that we can read. Chewbacca's Lover, $5. Dislikes is a way to keep people from lying about how popular something is, to pretend the fans don't hate what they're cranking out. It also pisses him off, he says. So, well, something else, not the same thing. But that's how he closed it.
He's angry that I'm reading a super chat. Yeah, I mean that it's true and it's not true, right? Because certainly that can get really super exaggerated, and it's not fair when people abuse it. And it's hard to say when exactly that's happening and when it isn't. So like it's easy to say, look, it's kind of a system of checks and balances, but like any check and balance system, it can be taken advantage of. So like I think that's true and it's not true. I don't know if it's better or worse ultimately not having it. I just think that the reason they're doing it, in my mind, and call me cynical, is probably more for the big corporations than it is the little guys. Not to get horribly political about it, but it's hard for me to believe that that's the real actual reason. The idea that like Disney and Sony and Nintendo and these kinds of companies that have had particular projects actually hurt by arguably mostly, if not exclusively, a dislike ratio on YouTube. You can't tell me that those companies haven't gone to YouTube and said, we would really love it if you do something about this.
I agree with you. I do.
Yeah. Even if that's not the only reason, it's they're definitely probably getting pressured.
Mm-hmm.
Divid22.
And nothing against that. I'm not calling them liars, by the way, because like that, you know, whatever with public statements, there's PR. It's more about strategy than anything. There could be plenty of truth to that. There's a whole side of this. I'll be real surprised if that doesn't have a lot to do with it. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm going to read this one, and I have to run and take care of my son really quick. Divid22, could Geekvolution form a ghost-busting coalition?
Oh, I mean, I guess if we had enough, like of our, I don't want to say staff, but like, you know, folks that come in and do stuff with us that are huge Ghostbusters fans, I guess we could. I've never looked into that. I don't know what the perks are or the point of doing that whole thing. I think he's talking about the like basically like official fan club thing where different groups are clubs that are in like a nationwide thing. Star Trek's got that. Ghostbusters has that. I ran a Star Trek club for 15 years and never felt the need to get into the official like federation group thing. I just felt like those people took themselves way too seriously, and I didn't feel like it was just to be official. I didn't feel like it was worth the dues you had to pay. So, I mean,
there's a Star Wars one that's like that too. They're the 501st Legion, and then like they all dress up as like the Imperial, you know, stormtroopers and officers and stuff.
Yep. I've never felt the need to get into that stuff, but
yeah, I'm not a big like cosplayer, like costumer in general, just because like I think like the costumes people make are like really cool, but it's just, and like the ones that they buy or whatever, however they get them, you know, they're really cool. I just, it's a lot of money, and I don't have enough money to invest in costumes.
Yeah, and not to put too fine a point on it, but I have had periods in my life where I've wanted to get really into cosplaying, where like just for a minute, that's really fun and exciting to me. Like the first time or two that I wore anything like an impressive costume, that was exciting for me. The Spawn suit for Spawn Year, which I took to conventions, got stopped with a lot of pictures. I'm vain. I enjoy attention. Like that kind of thing is fun, but the problem is I'm short and scrawny, and there's just not a lot of stuff that looks like good on me or believable with me. Like me just on camera, you can't see how small and tiny I am. Like I'm in better shape than I've been in a long time. I've lost a lot of weight. I'm not fat anymore. That's exciting, but I'm not, I'm not bulked up. I'm gonna start lifting weights again here pretty soon, and I'd like to start actually building, like gaining weight on purpose and building some musculature. But I don't know. I don't imagine I'm ever gonna get I don't have that body type. So anyway, and even if I did, I'm still 5'6". Like there's just not a lot I can pull off. I can dress as a Power Ranger.
5'3" in the comics.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You can be Old Man Logan.
Wolverine.
Oh, that's true, but I gotta wait till I'm like 70 years old.
I hurt my...
Dragon 5 says Rorschach. That's a good... I always forget how short Rorschach is. Okay, I'll do a Rorschach at some point. No, now everybody's telling me what I can be because I'm tiny.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Everything I always want to do though requires tall people. Like I can't do a Batman. I'm too small. Like I did that Spawn, and it was just silly because I'm this really tiny, short Spawn.
You could be Robin or Red Robin.
Oh yeah, I guess you could. Yeah, but then also I'm like 37. So like now I'm getting too old too. Like some of these things would have been great ideas if I'd done it friggin' 20 years ago.
You're Tom Holland's gonna get to where you are someday, where he's like, oh, my height was so useful when I was like 20, 22, and now I'm like 40, and I still am 5'7", 5'6". All right, Chewbacca's lover. This may seem small and silly. Man, I didn't know this many people were going to comment about this. We should have this earlier. This may seem small and silly, but it's a way of censoring negativity. People equate opinions they disagree with as slander or lies. This won't stop here.
I'm concerned it may not. I don't want to be a doomsayer. I don't know. But it is the
I'm a card-carrying doomsayer from back in the day.
Exactly, that's what I was thinking.
There's a reason I hardly ever use that word anymore. I forgot about that. No, it is the latest in a list of somewhat troubling, decisions from YouTube that I don't want to say that by itself feels like a totalitarian move or whatever, but like, I don't know, just combined with a bunch of other things, particularly like, demonetizing people for language use and things like that. I don't know. A little concerning.
Yeah, next up, Bob the Hun, $2. Thoughts on Dune?
So I'm going to give official thoughts on Dune on I'm going to record Sunday, probably going up overnight into Monday. Me and Connor finally going to do a how we felt about Sign Flip on that. Sorry it's taken so long to get there. I watched it the week it came out and really enjoyed it, but I wanted to see it in a theater before I commented on it. I probably should have just gone ahead and done a video. But I also... So... Not to put too fine a point on it, I'll just, full disclosure, I have always been intimidated by that material, and there is now a really more than solid, excellent, like official big screen, multi-million-dollar adaptation of Dune, and it's excellent. I still don't feel like I can fully penetrate that mythology. I've never been able to fully wrap my head around what that universe is and what it's about, and I feel weird trying to talk about it because I haven't had that yet. I've never been able to read that book because the prose always turned me off, and I just couldn't get into it. I've never cared for the setting. I've never cared for the like trappings and aesthetic of that, and it's just tasty. It's all just taste. Now it's a lot more appealing to me with the vision that they're putting on film, and so I'm hoping that finally, getting that in my brain, it'll be easier to go back and actually read the original material at some point. But now we've got like half the story, and I've been told by my wife, who's a huge Dune fan, that it's more like a quarter of it when you get to the end of that movie. And like I don't know where it's all going because I've never read that stuff, and I just feel really in the dark and left out, and like I'm the last person on the earth that's qualified to talk about it. So, I mean, we're not doing spoiler cast right now. I'll do a standard sign flip, like, you know, real generalized discussion on that, but I feel funky even doing that. I've always been weird about this material, and I feel like in some ways it's almost unfilmable, and they've done the absolute best you possibly could do with it, I think. But it feels like a very strange thing to try to put on film.
I loved it. I feel like it makes sense that you don't necessarily like it because I think it's much, much more fantasy than science fiction. And that's what I loved about the movie. I love that they just played it straight, like an adaptation of the novel, and they just kept it as fantasy driven as it is. And I've read the book and I really, really liked the movie, and I honestly wish it had been longer. And I don't know. I think it could be a trilogy, like you said. He doesn't get that far through the story. I think I would be fine if he made a trilogy out of the movie. I'd also be fine, I guess, if he made it into 2 movies, if he could pull it off. But I actually thought like the first third of the movie was like going at too fast of a pace for me. I wanted it to slow down and sit with some scenes longer. I could have sat there for another 30 minutes in the theater. I did get to see it in the theater the day it came out, and I really loved it. So cool. I'm glad you're going to talk about it soon. I'll tune in.
Dan, feel free if you saw it to give a couple of your thoughts right now.
One more thing I was gonna say that I said when I saw it, and I didn't know that Dan was gonna be here when I talked about this, so now I feel weird about it. But my quote when I came out was, "Oh man, if Star Wars was like that, I would care about Star Wars," because it sucked me in so much harder than any Star Wars movie has, and I just loved how seriously they took all the religion stuff and the politics stuff. Like it was so cool.
Well, Dan, my line looking at that the one time I've seen it was, this in another universe, this is their Star Wars. Like, there's another universe somewhere where they didn't get Star Wars, and this is what came out in 1979 or 77, and it's what spawned like a bazillion things and was, you know, the only sci-fi thing anybody cared about. Like, that's what it felt like to me.
Me too. And for that reason, I was in love with that movie. I loved every moment of it. It was amazing. I could gush about it for like the next 30 minutes, but I'm not going to. I was in love with that movie, and I think I'm really hoping that it finds enough of an audience during these like crazy times that the second movie makes money, and then Warner Brothers, like you said, Cap, how there's much more of the story than 2 parts to tell based on, you know, what Sarah said about it. I hope that this becomes like their Harry Potter next franchise sort of thing, where they just kind of adapt all of the Herbert books and make something really great, like a great, like very close adaptation of the books, and then end it, and it will be awesome. Because the cast in this movie is great. I think Denis Villeneuve's vision for it is amazing. I have never read the book, so I went in completely blind, and I don't know. I had an experience with that movie. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool. And I highly recommend seeing it in the theater too, because the sound design is insane.
I want to.
It's so good.
I hated not seeing that first in the theater, and you know, I've said this a lot, and I don't mean to brag when I say this. I have a decent setup at my place. I've got a couple of, you know, really good screens. I've got decent sound and stuff, but I mean, like, it doesn't replace the theater experience. And this, like I've been talking a lot about how I got kind of like sick of and didn't really care that much about the theater going experience anymore, and a lot of that had to do with almost everything I saw was bad. And I've seen 3 movies in a row now that I've liked, and I don't think that's happened in 5 years. Isn't that insane? Dune is wonderful. I guess before that, the most recent thing I had seen was the new Bond movie, No Time to Die. It's excellent. It's wonderful.
Yes,
and
it
then
is.
Eternals I really liked, and all three of those were really good theater going experiences that two of the three I saw in the theater, and I was very glad that I did, and would have been sad if that wasn't the first way I saw it. And the best looking and most visually impressive of them is the one I didn't go that way to.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, my wife has never ever mentioned sound design to me, and she even brought up sound design after we watched the movie. Like, it's like the scene when the worm's coming and like the pulsing in the theater in the sand. It's crazy. I didn't even go to like my theater is like an independent theater. It's not even like that great of a theater, but it was still a really good experience. All right.
At what point do comics give us the obvious sandworm crossover, which is Dune, Beetlejuice, and Tremors? When does that happen? Like, it has to happen.
There is an episode of Super Friends where they fight giant sandworms that my son was watching the other day on HBO Max. Like, we watched the Halloween one that they had on there, which was like the Super Friends versus Dracula, which was really hilarious and weird.
That's awesome.
But it auto-played the next one, and there was giant sandworm. I almost posted something at Discord, but I forgot to.
Austin and I need to do some blind commentaries on some Super Friends. I showed Freddie an episode just at random of that the other day. I hadn't watched any of that since I was a kid, so I didn't show him one that I knew on purpose. And it was, but I picked it because it was the like evil Superman from another dimension episode, and I was like, I have to know how Super Friends deals with this. Does the Injustice like Zack Snyder thing, right? So I turn it on, and it opens up in a scene where they're trying to pretend like it's a regular Super Friends episode where there's like a dam burst, right? And the Super Friends show up, but they look kind of funky weird. And Superman has like a darker costume, but he's got these really big eyebrows, these huge bushy black eyebrows, and red eyes because he's evil, right? And the evil Justice League goes and they're like coordinating, and you think that that they're talking about like going down and stopping the dam. They just make sure that it bursts more so that there's a flood, and then it's like, oh, they're evil, dun dun dun, and then you get to the Okay, well, Dan, everybody could see that. So Dan just left. He'll be back. So then,
he doesn't like Super Friends. Not a big fan of Super Friends.
So then, DJ, there's this. They show you the Hall of Justice, but it's the Hall of Evil, and evil is like a different font and larger. Like they just pasted it over. It's the best.
That's incredible. Hey, if there's anything, we all know if there's anything that makes someone look evil, it's bushy eyebrows. I mean, Colin Farrell's been making a career off of it for years, so.
It's so good!
That sounds amazing. I would love to pop in on some of those, because I was cracking up at the Dracula episode where it was the weirdest thing. Like, he doesn't turn people into vampires, he turns everybody into bats. Like, everyone. Like, you know how Dracula can usually turn into bats? He got on a plane and bit everyone, and everyone turned to bats, and like was flying around turning everyone else into bats. It was madness.
A good drinking game for Super Friends is every time somebody brings up a hydroelectric dam, take a drink. It's a shocking number.
Oh, that's great. All right, Divot 22. Is your inability to see 3D hereditary and or genetic?
No, not at all. My inability to see 3D, and what that means is not that everybody looks like a flat cartoon.
That'd be awesome.
It's that 3D glasses don't work on me in a movie theater, or even the old red and blue looking at 3D comics and things like that. I can't do the magic eye puzzles, that sort of thing. It's because I had surgery on my eyes when I was 13 months old because I stayed cross-eyed, and the surgery was only partially successful. So I'm not cross-eyed, but it gave me a lazy eye, and it's the reason, like, a lot of people can tell when I'm on camera. You can see I've got a lazy eye, and I've got partial double vision in my left eye, and that's why I'm not able to see in 3D, because my eyes don't work together properly. So I basically can switch my dominant eye, although I mean my dominant eye is my left eye, but like I can't see really things with both exactly right. So anyway, it would not be hereditary. My kids should have no problem seeing movies in 3D if for some reason they wanted to do that.
if that's still a thing when they're all grown up.
Dan, Oh yeah, no, it will be. We'll never get rid of that. We'll have, you know what? There will be holodeck technology, and they will still put movies in the movie theater in freaking 3D. Dan, I'm sorry for offending you by keeping the Super Friends discussion going too long.
Oh no, sorry. I had to run to the bathroom real quick.
No, you don't have to.
I'm just my favorite thing though is you were trying not to interrupt and be super polite, so you just wrote BRB on the screen like everybody can't see that.
Oh, I didn't know people could see
No,
it.
Skype plastered it over your whole screen for some reason. It was really weird.
Yeah, anything you type in, it just shows.
Oh man,
it was pretty great.
My wife did that the other day in a call. She was complaining about the guy she was in a Zoom meeting with while she was sharing her screen, and he was like, "You know, I can see your screen," and she's like, "Ah!" It was the worst experience of her life.
Oh no.
Oh man, Bob the Hun. Some people argue that SNL was never good from the beginning. That there were the good sketches everyone remembers, and the rest was crap in every era.
There's probably some truth to that.
Probably.
yeah, maybe. I have not watched enough SNL to know, so I'm not sure.
I haven't watched enough full episodes of classic episodes to know.
Yeah, exact,ly
Because
I've seen
when I was growing up,
skits.
yeah, like, you know, people would show you the you know, classic skits that everybody remembers, and
Yeah, it's not like you can buy season DVDs of it.
I think you can.
Oh, you can?
I'm almost positive they put those out. I don't think it's just collections. I mean, there's collections too, but yeah, I may be wrong about that. But no, I mean, there's such a huge SNL fan base. I'd be really surprised if that.
That would be, I want to see that collection, because isn't it, how many seasons is it at this point? It's like,
Yeah,
it'd be a lot. It'd be a huge
40
collection.
something. Yeah, it's a lot.
All right, Super Billy, $5. Would like to know Dan and DJ's thoughts on Eternals. It was a heartbreaking experience for me, a catastrophic yet admirable failure like Hulk 2003. Well, I don't agree that was a catastrophic failure. Hulk 2003 is all right.
Yeah, I
I like
that.
Hulk 2003. But yes, I haven't seen Eternals yet. I don't know about Dan. I was possibly going to try to see it earlier today, but I couldn't get a showing that would, because it's a long movie and I couldn't get 3 hours before I had to pick up my kids. So maybe tomorrow or maybe this weekend sometime. It's hard to get away to a theater these days, but I'm gonna try to see it. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I may go see it. I haven't really decided yet. I was thinking I was going to wait for Disney Plus to see this one, and then I talked to Austin and Connor about it, and they both really liked it. And I was like, oh, maybe it is cool. And then I saw that, you know, your video, you know, Connor was talking about how much you liked it, Cap, too, and like, I was like, oh, you know, maybe it is worthwhile. So I was thinking of maybe going to see it tomorrow, but I haven't seen it as of right now. But
we'll let you know when we see it.
yes, exactly.
I mean, if Dan ever gets invited back.
Yeah, I'll be here. We'll bring Dan back just to say his piece on Eternals and then kick him off.
Dan will be really busy and he won't have time to come back in, and then we'll see him in March, and he'll be like, I'll have a lead-in topic, but Dan will be like, no, you can't do your lead-in topic. I gotta talk about Eternals 6 months after the fact.
CM Productions, $5. How many feelings could Dan Torrey feel if Dan Torrey could feel feelings?
The entire spectrum of feelings, because I don't know how many there are.
Good question. Can somebody Google how
it's
many
like stars
there
in the universe.
Yeah.
We just need to go watch Inside Out again. It's a great movie. John Ty, with the Hawkeye show, pulling stuff from Fraction's run on the character. Oh, is it? That's awesome. Have you guys read that run? Yes, I have.
I have too.
It's so good.
It's very good.
I never have. I think I've read like an issue or two of that, but I never finished it.
I read that entire run when it was coming out in issues, and it was one of my favorite books that was coming out at the time. I really like Matt Fraction as a writer. I really like Hawkeye as a character. So I'm hoping that show is good. That's one of the Marvel Disney Plus things that I am looking forward to.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's good.
I really like that actress. I've seen that actress in a few things now, and she's awesome. And that's the Matt Fraction, David Aja team up. They also did the Iron Fist run. I have the first trade of that I want to read. I haven't read it yet, but I wish they would adapt that if they ever bring Iron Fist back, or wish they would have adapted that when they did Iron Fist.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, and was that Black Widow run, or is that a different thing? A different team?
I'm not sure if they.
Now.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
But yes,
Mystical Reem Beanie back talking about something we were talking about a few minutes ago. SNL is like The Simpsons. What you grew up with is what you consider funny, and then you consider everything after you grew out of it crap. I mean, there's probably some truth to that. With different people. I mean, I find with Simpsons, the later stuff is just kind of hit or miss when I actually sit down and bother to watch it. But I don't know how much of what I find funny with that show is nostalgia, and how much of it is just like actual, my comedic sensibilities.
Well, that's just hard with humor in general.
It is, yeah.
Because humor is so based on what you grew up with.
Yeah, exactly.
And a lot of SNL does lean real hard on, like, repeated jokes and catchphrases and things like that. So I would argue that happens more often with that show than it does with Simpsons, but that might not be fair. And
also pop culture references, as you get older, you get less of them. So
yep. And they don't always age well. It's like, even if you get it, it's like, okay, but like that had to have mattered 6 minutes ago to be funny in the way you intended it to, if that makes any sense.
A lot of the Simpsons stuff, like that I've gone back to since I was a kid, is pretty timeless, and I think that's why that show will stand the test of time. Like, I was watching some clips from the episode where Sideshow Bob runs for mayor, and there's this one part where they like pull Bart into a limousine, and like he just looks at him and he goes, "That was a bad decision, Bart. No child has ever messed with the Republican Party and lived to tell the tale." I was like, oh, this is awesome.
Raptors Go Rar is back again. Just with rar today? Question mark?
Well, yes, of course, I agree, and I have nothing to add.
Oh, good. Glad that was more civil this week. Side-scrolling Hero 16.
You just have to know the language, guys. Sorry, like I'm not going to translate.
We're
I
not
don't
qualified.
have time. That's a 5-minute translation.
Yeah, it's a very complex language the Raptors speak.
Put it in Google Translate, okay? Like I don't have a universal translator.
Side-scrolling Hero 16, big Dan fan. I saw left a comment, and now they're also leaving a super chat. I've been watching Geekvolution since Dan was a regular. Great to see him again.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you for watching, and I'm glad that you enjoy me being on the show.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He'll see you in 8 months.
Yes.
Chewbacca's
That's
lover.
not true necessarily. Dan's got a little more free time than he used to. I mean, a lot of it was Dan just wasn't on the channel very much because he was so busy with law school and stuff.
Yeah, I'm done with law school and studying for the bar and all that stuff. So I just work a normal 9 to 5 now, which is very refreshing.
Isn't that exciting?
Yes.
We're flipped now. I don't have that. I have like really limited time now. I'm usually in a car driving the kids places or standing around with babies that won't let me put them down. And you can get a little bit of TV watching done that way, but you're pausing an awful lot.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
And you're not taking notes, that's for sure.
All right. Chewbacca's lover.
Yeah.
$5. Dune was supposed to be done like Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings, influenced by it. 2 films released a year. He says a year about. I think he means a year apart.
Yep.
And the director pitched that and was voted down.
And then retroactively, I read was glad that he didn't go that way because he said he was so exhausted making that movie he couldn't possibly have shot them back to back.
Yeah, I don't understand how that must have aged Peter Jackson like 20 years. Like, I don't know how he shot those 3 super long movies.
Doing that job is like
super
being the
low
president. Like, you don't get out of that with all the lives, the amount of life you were supposed to have still with you. Like,
yeah, like Joss Whedon was almost killed him to do Age of Ultron, and Peter Jackson did that twice. He came back and did The Hobbit again. Oh, Man, the guy's a trooper. But no, that's cool. And
Yeah,
I
that's
definitely
nuts.
I definitely had Lord of the Rings in my mind while I was watching Dune. It just definitely felt like the same level of reverence for the
Well,
material.
I had the
and
same thought. I was
epicness.
disappointed that they weren't shot back to back for two reasons. First of all, trying to keep that in my head for 2-3 years. Yeah, like I'm gonna have to. Yeah, I mean, I liked it, so it won't be awful to do this, but limited time. Like, it'd be nice if the next one could come out 6 months or a year from now while it's still fresh in my mind. But more than that, I was just kind of disappointed that it couldn't be shot that way, just in case it didn't do well enough and the studio didn't make any more. COVID probably helped that movie a great deal because Warner's is kind of just greenlighting sequels to everything that they were hoping to make sequels to, because they can't be sure how well anything would have performed. So they're like, well, you got to give everything another shot because we can't base it on anything. Maybe if something got 0% on Rotten Tomatoes, they'd shut the whole thing down. But I think that franchise and a couple other things, like, Matrix 4 might have done great, might have not done great, who knows. I mean, it's not out yet, but in the box office, if it wasn't also going on HBO Max, but we can be almost guaranteed it gets a sequel now, for better or worse. Who knows if that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing. But like, I think COVID probably helped this project. Having said that, so many more people are talking about Dune than I thought would. I thought that would be a lot more culty. 2049 had that, where like everybody that saw it, or nearly everybody that saw it, seemed to really like it, but it just didn't appeal to a mass base, so it didn't do real great at the box office. I'm actually not sure how this would have performed, given word of mouth and stuff. I think a lot of people, even outside of it streaming, might have gone to the theater, and it might have gotten a really good second weekend had it only been in the theater. It's really hard to say, but it definitely helped it if you could see the universe in which it didn't perform well at the box office. But I'm actually not sure how it would have done.
TH1, Clifford still on for tomorrow?
Yes, unfortunately. So tomorrow night, quick plug for a show that nobody's gonna watch. Austin, the Day Ghost, has somehow strong-armed me into doing the most ill-advised bad idea that we've ever done on the channel. We are going to do a blind commentary on the Clifford the Big Red Dog family film that looks like nightmare fuel. Just go check out the trailers. It looks terrifying. They've taken a real dog and in post blown it up and made it look bigger, or made it look huge, and colored it red in post. So it's not, I mean, it would, some of those things look a lot worse when it is CG, but speaking as a person that tends to not like the CG cartoon added into real footage thing, this is somehow worse, at least just looking at the trailers, and it looks like a real typical formulaic kind of gag me with a spoon sort of family family fare. And I don't want to watch it, but Austin does, because he thinks it looks like the worst thing he's ever seen, and we're gonna stream it live on the channel tomorrow night. So come watch Austin destroy the channel at 7 or 10 o'clock tomorrow night. We got to start late, but that's what we're doing tomorrow. Yep, that's still on, Tom.
That is interesting. He's just helping prove that it's impossible to get 0 views on a video.
We can't do it. We can't get 0 views. Anyway, so be there at your own risk. People in the comments are excited about that commentary. We'll do our level best to make it enjoyable.
I really hope it's a fun watch. Like, it's a fun commentary that's annoying. I hope it's not Cats.
We've tried this with too many things that we couldn't keep entertaining because the movie wasn't bad in the right way. Or it just blew our brains up and we just didn't want to be there anymore. Like, if you like looking at people hooking themselves up to a machine and repeatedly shocking themselves on purpose, that's what some of those videos end up being like. We've done more of them for After Dark. This is kind of an After Dark sort of video. I don't like that we're not going to be able to swear on that, but we are going to do it live for the main channel. So
yeah, Wild Wild West was one of the worst 2-hour experiences of my entire life. That commentary,
we almost couldn't get through it. Flubber wasn't fun. We tried that.
Oh, Flubber wasn't fun either. We've been striking out with those, trying to do bad commentaries.
We really have. This one was live on the channel, but when I say live, like open to everybody to see. Brandon and I did it once with the horror film Apollo 18, not to be confused with the They Might Be Giants album, and that was apparently atrocious. And we watched it, and yeah, it wasn't good, but it wasn't like fun bad. It was just there, and hard to see. It was like too darkly shot. I didn't know what I was looking at half the time.
Lewis Cox. Hey Cap, have you seen Power Rangers Dino Fury brought back Lord Zed?
Yeah, I know about that. I've seen some clips of it. I actually haven't sat through the episode. I kind of know everything they did with it. But yeah, my kids have watched it. It finally went to Netflix, and I just haven't gotten around to it. So I want to say it's neat they did that. I don't know why that show, except that like it's dinosaurs. It's so weird. They did, because the series right before that is Beast Morphers, and that was supposed to be more of a legacy sort of season or pair of seasons, and there's a lot of references to things that happen in other shows. DJ, I don't know if you know this, but they brought back stuff from RPM of all things. And like Dr. K is in that show later on, and like that's kind of neat. That's where I would have done it if I was going to do it. What sucks about it is they're not even trying to remotely get close with the voice, so it's just the most generic voice you could possibly think of. It's a guy not even attempting to do an Axelrod, and it's a mind. It's a mind control plot, so he's got like a control collar, so the bad guy in that show is just making him do stuff. So it's cool that he fights, like you get a big fight with Lord Zed, and it looks, decently well choreographed. He's really bulky. It's really weird looking, just giant Lord Zed. But like, it's neat that he fights. I don't think he has his staff. I'm actually not sure if he has this. I guess it would kind of make sense if he's being controlled that he wouldn't have that, maybe, because he's not like Lord Zed, he's not lording over anything. But it's ironic if he doesn't have a staff, because in the previous show, instead of having, I said Dr. K was there, but they didn't have a lot of like actual returning characters from previous seasons, and instead a lot of the cameos were just props. It was like, look, we have the prop from the Lord Zed staff that we just left we still had it in a warehouse. We put it in the show. Isn't that exciting? And then they bring in Lord Zed, and I don't think he has his staff. We know they have that. It got a cameo. I think that's really funny. That's what I know about that.
Cool. Yeah, Logan Dodd, thoughts on the Lightyear teaser?
I think it looks potentially great. I'm pretty excited about it. I'm glad that somebody brought that up. That came out a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that.
I had my information completely wrong on that. I thought it was live action. I don't know why I thought that. I watched that trailer and was like, oh, shocking! It's actually animated. But weird that Pixar is not wholesale making it. It's Disney plus Pixar is the way it's being. I don't know how involved Pixar even is with it. But it looks like it's got real potential. It looks like they're selling it on a real sense of wonder and like a honest to God, true science fiction plot, and it's got a lot of kind of 2001 imagery, and it looks like it could be great.
Yeah, I hope it's good. I like the Toy Story movies a lot. If they can make something really cool out of the real person with Buzz Lightyear, that would be cool. I used to really like the animated show about the Space Rangers when I was a kid, so it would be cool if this movie turns out good. I think Chris Evans is a potentially cool casting choice too. I guess we'll see how he is as a voice actor, but he seemed pretty cool in the trailer, so.
Yeah, he sounds right for it. It is weird that he's getting everybody right now. Everything you hear that's like a classic white guy role. It's like it's Chris Pratt. Like, oh no, it's not Chris Pratt. It's Chris Evans. It's the other Chris.
Yeah, it's Chris Evans.
It's other Chris. Okay, for a second I had it in my head that it's Chris Pratt, but it's not. It's Evans. That is better casting. I'm glad it's not Chris Pratt.
Yeah,
but I also
really
think
cool.
that Chris Evans would have been great if it was live action.
Yeah, it seems really interesting. It's like an interesting change of pace for Pixar to do like this more grounded, like realistic, like the animation is insane. Like that space stuff looks like it could be live action. It's so close. Like I don't know. I'm excited. It's
it watches like they've been, and I know that they're just using a property that has been really successful for them every time, and so you could complain that if they're going to go back to science fiction again, wouldn't it be nice if it wasn't related to something? I've always wanted to see this. I've always wanted the property that the toy was based on as a thing, and like the cartoon show was kind of that way. But I love that now you'll have, if this is good, now you'll have the like cutesy animated series thing, and then, or not cutesy, because I mean it was a good show, but you've got the more like Saturday morning cartoon thing, and then you've got what would ostensibly be like the live action movie in their universe, because it's 3D, and so like 3D versus 2D, that would be their live action thing. So that's super cool. But it's like they've been hankering for years, ever since Wall-E, to finally make another science fiction film.
Yeah. I mean, I think it would also be cool eventually if this is successful. If we did the same thing with Woody and did like a Wild West movie, that would be awesome.
But then you have
like
to
a
make
Western.
the Woody's Roundup show, and nobody wants to watch that.
No.
Yeah, and well, then you'd have to like retroactively say that. Well, I guess that's what they did with Buzz Lightyear too, so I guess it would make sense. But Woody would have to be based on a real person from the past.
True. Yeah, that's
But
No,
I guess they could
not necessarily, because Woody could be. Well, I mean, why would it have to be based on a real person?
Because this is the real story inside of the Toy Story universe that the show is based on and the toys are based on. That's what this movie is.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like that. I want it to be fiction in the first place. I don't like that. I don't like the idea that Buzz Lightyear is based on a real person. Did they do that just because Buzz Aldrin is a real person? Is that why they did that? Like, I think that's a really strange choice. Okay, all right.
It's going to be weird knowing that type of science fiction technology existed in like
94?
Before that, like in the 60s or 70s, based on what that cartoon was based on.
Well, and the Toy Story universe in the movies we've seen so far is just kind of like typical American suburbia. Like you don't get the idea that it's like, oh, we have space ranges.
Yeah.
No,
it's a little weird.
No, it's really obvious. Ooh, I don't like that. I mean, I hope the movie's good. I don't like that on the face of it anyway. Like, you go back to that first movie, and it's pretty clear that either is a toy that stands on its own, or more likely was based on, again, like a cartoon or a movie or something. Like the Star Command thing is their Star Wars or something.
Yeah.
That's what it always watched like. Like, it's clear. So you're telling me there's a real-life Emperor Zurg?
Well, I don't know. Well, no, I mean, obviously the show and the toys were like exaggerated. Like they're going to be way more exaggerated than what actually happened. There's not like, that's why it's Tim Allen. That's why it's a different, because that's a character based on, that's why it's a different voice.
I would imagine.
Which is why I hear people like freaking out that it's not Tim Allen. I'm like, no, it's a completely different.
But even
thing.
if it was fiction in the first place, it wouldn't have to be Tim Allen, because all you have to do is say there was this like, thing aimed at kids, and it's sort of like Ninja Turtles, then we did a live-action version of it. Like, that's all you have to say. And that's what I was going to say about the Woody thing, is that could be that, too. It could be a decades later, like, reboot or remake, Dan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it might not matter. Like, I've heard people say this. It probably won't matter when watching the movie at all.
Ultratron says he's pretty sure that's not true. Blue Dragon 5 says it's a fictional property, not a real astronaut in universe. God, I hope that's true. I hope you guys are wrong about that, because that's very strange if that's what they're doing.
Yeah, I've heard I've heard a lot of news outlets say that. I don't know. I mean, I thought
they
that
don't know what they're talking about, and I hope to God that's true.
As DJ from all of the stuff that I saw about it, but we could be wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it could be even deeper. It could be a science fiction movie based on the real person, like, because they've definitely thrown around that he's based on a real person, but I guess this could be a sci-fi movie in that universe based on the real person that's also exaggerated, but not as exaggerated as the TV show, which
that's so convoluted. It doesn't need to be a real person at all. Don't do that.
No, you know what it is, Cap. They have about 8 scripts written. Whatever the audience on Reddit wants, that's what they'll produce.
Oh.
They'll have 8 different cuts. Whatever is most popular on Reddit by the time the movie comes out will be released. It'll be like Rise of Skywalker, but with Toy Story.
Boy, that happened with Star Wars because they were desperate. Toy Story 4 was both popular and good. Like,
this is the new Disney business model. It's a business model.
No matter what it is. Wow. Is that... Is that going to be the lesson that they learned from Eternals when it did like $10 million less opening weekend than they expected it to? Like, I keep seeing all these outlets saying that it's like a big wake up call for MCU, and I looked at the numbers, and it was like, I mean, it didn't make quite what they were expecting it to, but it wasn't by a huge margin, and it's like the third or fourth best opening since COVID. So I don't understand. It wasn't a failure or anything. It's also still in the theater and you know can make some more money. But like, I don't understand that if that's true.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to me that a Chloe Zhao movie was beat like opening weekend at the box office by Venom 2. Venom 2 was insane. Like there's a trailer for that movie, like a promo trailer they cut where it says like the critic reviews, and it's like the most insane movie of the year. I was like, this is the most honest trailer I've ever seen.
What else do you sell it on?
Yeah.
You have to sell it on that.
Yeah.
The only thing that would be more honest is like Carnage, go home.
Yeah, exactly.
The Venom movies are such an amazing anomaly. They make so much money for some reason.
I know, and I ironically love them. Like, they are horrible, but I love them.
I can't go that far with you on 2. We've talked about this, but that was a bridge too far for me, man. 10 minutes in, I was like just itching to run. Like, it was like my feet were on coals. I couldn't do, like, hot coals. I couldn't do it.
Yeah. That's totally fair. I mean, I had no investment in that movie being good. So
I didn't think I did either. I don't know why I was so angry, but I still am. I can't explain it.
Well, you're like a huge like symbiote fan. Like, you love Venom and Carnage. I enjoy them, but I'm much more of a fan of like the more classic Spider-Man villains. So like I just like, given the context of the first one, I was like, give me more of that turned up to 11. That's exactly what it was.
That's exactly what Andy Serkis said when he made it. Yeah, I think part of that is also based on Dan living in a city where he can do something right before he watches that movie that Cap and I cannot. All right, Mr. Amato.
It's almost
$2.
like, it's almost like Andy Serkis looked at that first movie and was like, well, this isn't for kids, so we can't make a toy commercial. But it's kind of that sort of thing, so what are we going to make? I know. We'll make something even crazier and more insulting to the audience's intelligence, so it's a commercial for that first movie, which isn't like as out there. I mean, a lot of people think that second movie is way better than the first, and I don't understand that. But after you said that, I was like, oh, it's a commercial for the first movie. Or if you watched that, then you saw the first movie, you'd be disappointed.
Yeah, it's so fascinating that they're going to try to turn like these movies into a universe. Like, the Morbius trailer is awesome. Like, the newest one, it's so awesome. I can't wait.
I still say that movie should have been, because John Kelling just left comments that Venom 2, there's a carnage in this one, made me feel bad. I still think, yeah, that's great. I still think that title should have been Venom 2. Guess we're doing Carnage.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Abato, could Geekvolution get Dan Torrey a two-headed coin?
Why does Dan Torrey need a two-headed coin?
Like Two-Face?
Does this have something to do with his not having feelings? I don't know.
Well, I mean, I've been waiting for payment for a long time, Cap. So you can pay me in the form of a two-headed coin.
Of a gag gift from the prank
One
store?
coin.
So I'm not as cheap as Dan is making me out to be.
I'm just kidding, yeah.
Because we have done shows together before, and where I have offered him payment and he's declined. So,
Yes.
And I also have paid him before as well. By the way, just full disclosure.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not doing it this time.
Not anymore. Maybe Mr. Amato just wanted Dan to run for office. Maybe that's what he's saying.
Oh,
We can deliver to you 4 Venom movies with my next term in office.
The Venom cinematic universe.
I believed in Dan Torrey.
TH1 will not be able to see. Will not being able to see 3D hinder your ability to join the metatarsal. Great show tonight, guys.
I don't know what that means. What's the metatarsal?
I hope that's a typo, because that's the best typo ever. The metatarsal.
Who asked that? Was that Tom?
That was Tom. Who do you think?
That sounded like a Tom typo. Sorry, Tom.
He also said hinder.
I didn't know you needed to be able to see in 3D to join the metatarsal. I also don't know if that's a thing I would want to join. It's like Kiwanis. I have no interest, but I don't actually know what they do there.
It sounds like a parody of the foot from Ninja Turtles, the metatarsal, because isn't that like the bone in your toes?
Yeah, it does sound like that. It's like we've done so many. We've done the foot, the hand. We've done so many of these that now we have to resort to just like bones inside of those things.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Man. Sorry,
Join
Tom.
The femur.
Translate the femur. Translate for us, Tom, or if anyone else can speak, Tom. J Forever King. Will Marvel abandon the Eternals going forward due to critical and fan reaction?
My prediction is no, but I could see them not using them as much as they might have. I think the Eternals is, without giving any away to these guys because they haven't seen it, there is certainly set up for more stuff down the road in that movie. Marvel nearly always does this, but I think that the way they're established and what they're all about, it would be pretty easy to avoid them as much as they felt like strategically they should avoid them. So, I mean, at the very least, there's lore and mythology that's established in that movie that I think they're stuck with, that I think they're going to have to keep doing things with down the road, particularly in anything cosmic. If Guardians 3 references nothing in that movie, I'll be shocked. But I do think it would be really easy for them to... Will it get a sequel? Will there be an Eternals 2? I actually doubt it. But when it says, at the end of that movie, the Eternals will return, like... Yeah, they'll be in something. I mean, I'm sure they'll follow that up and do something with them. Yeah. At least they'll take the character that they've decided is most standout if they're that concerned about criticism of that movie, and they'll make him or her somebody's sidekick or something, or be like supporting cast for some other movie. You'll see some of them again. I do think there's a good chance that doesn't get a sequel because I mean, again, it's polarizing before it's panned. We act like 47-49% on Rotten Tomatoes is panned for an MCU movie. It looks like it because none of them have ever been rated that low. I think there are at least 2 that should have been, but weren't. And so, like, I get people not caring for this movie. That being at 40-something% and upper 40-something%, and Ragnarok being at like 80 or 90-something, does not compute in my brain. I will never understand that. But it being that low for the MCU, I could see them not making an actual direct sequel.
He also said fan reaction, but the audience score is 80% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yes, the audience score is higher, but I'm also seeing more fan or YouTube videos, just idiots like me in a chair in their basement, making videos. I'm not calling people idiots. People making videos in their basements. More of them complaining about this movie and saying it's no good at all than you usually see from Marvel movies. So I can see why he's saying that. I was surprised by how much of our kind of regular base here on Keithlution seemed to really enjoy that movie. It seemed like the Patreon Discord was almost in total agreement over really liking it. And I think a lot of people in the public Discord seem to like it as well. So yeah, it's certainly not as polarizing to fans as it is critics.
So everyone in the chat is telling me what they think Tom was trying to say, and they're 100% right. It's the Metaverse. The big thing that
the incoming dystopia.
What's his face Facebook guy is talking about. It's like basically Ready Player One is what he wants Facebook to be. So he wants to know if 3D will hinder your ability to join that. I don't know. Do you know? Have you ever looked at VR stuff?
So VR is hit or miss for me. I was just going to say, I don't know what exactly the Metaverse thing is going to look like how VR it would be. But if it is just straight up... Oh, bye, Dan. Dan's also offended by virtual reality talk.
The metatarsal is the best autocorrect I've ever heard in my life. It's amazing. The Metaverse into the metatarsal. No, yeah. I watched his little pitch on it. It's so weird that people are freaking out and like so upset about it was such a lame presentation because he's like, yeah, this is coming in like 5 to 10 years. I'm like, then why are you doing a presentation about it? Like, don't tell us what's going to happen in 10 years. I'm not even going to, it's so far, it's crazy. But he wants it to be like basically completely virtual reality. Like you can have a full avatar and stuff.
The reason you don't want to tell anybody about that, see, that's cool in video games in a way it's not with social media. Let's do it in a much more frivolous way before we try to make it how people interact with each other online, right? Like, boy, that guy, as much or more than anybody on the planet, should understand why it's a mistake to try to roll these things out too fast. Like, that's all I'm going to say about that. But, I don't know, if it's me, I put that in... Like PlayStation or Xbox is where that should be before it's anywhere. Like first. Well, we lost Dan. I hope he comes back.
He'll come back.
I imagine if that had happened with Google Glass. Imagine if 10 years before that comes out, there's this big announcement. In 10 years, we're going to have this amazing technology. It comes out, nobody buys it, nobody cares. It doesn't work the way it's supposed to.
Oh, man, what a flop. I mean, they should have known. It just looks ridiculous.
Also, when this happens, I would bet you good money that Steven Spielberg's name is on it.
He does it's a collab.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
With Spielberg.
His name will be on it so that his so that his company can make money off it, and it'll just say like, you know, from Steven Spielberg, and it'll have that movie's name all over it too, like from the man who brought you. Endorsed by the man who brought you Ready Player One.
Logan Dodd, 999 Cap, you're willing to tolerate current Star Wars, Trek, CW, and the DCEU, so we don't have to salute to you, man. Wait, I'm just going to keep reading. Describe a treatment of a franchise that could make you quit Geekvolution.
Oh, I see what he's saying. So first of all, I don't tolerate those things, like... or at least the ones that I think are awful. I mean, the nice thing is at least there's some Star Wars I'm liking. Hi, Dan.
Hello.
Everything all right?
Yeah, sorry, I had ordered some food because I hadn't had dinner yet. So
just the things that piss you off and make you leave really boggle my mind. I don't understand that. It's like, freaking... They brought up Facebook! I'm done!
Exactly.
Anyway, what are you having to eat?
I got Five Guys.
I love that you ordered that in the middle of the show. That's the best.
I did.
That sounds like a way to plan your evening. That sounds like a Marvel Mania move. It's like,
it's
hey,
been a busy day. Yeah.
Why don't you just? I'm just messing with you, man. It's totally fine. I totally get it. It's like I know you take over this commentary for the next 20 minutes while I go get McDonald's.
Classic. Legendary.
Okay, so the question was, you tolerate, and again, I don't. I mean, some of these things I've either stopped watching or I can't help but keep looking at the train wreck, but I know it's actually killing my soul inside. Like, some of these things I really shouldn't tolerate, particularly Star Trek. I've been letting Brandon force me to finally watch through Season 3 Discovery, which I had completely given up on, but he just really wanted to finally watch that show, and he hates it as much as anybody I know, but he just wants to know what happens in it, and so he's making me continue to watch. I mean, I could decline. I almost did getting into an episode or two of 3. I will come out and admit to something I did, and I'm not proud of this. I actually kind of feel bad about it. I don't even know how it affected me like this. I got so angry with like the second episode of Season 3 Discovery that I had not seen yet. It's like 3 in. That Brandon brought up some point while we were watching that, and he brought it up like 2 or 3 times. He just kept repeating himself, and I just freaking blew up on him, man. I got so mad. I was just like, just shut up. I don't even want to talk about this anymore. And then we had to stop the show. I had to apologize to him. We kept watching. I was like, Brandon, I'm sorry, man. I exploded at you because I can't deal with this show anymore. Like, that's how angry Star Trek is making me. I don't even know how to talk to my friends anymore. Like, that's how bad it is. I should not be watching any more of that show, man. Like, I hit a breaking point, and I just couldn't even. It just makes me so freaking angry. Dan, they go in the future.
Oh yeah.
The end of, I'll just spoil this. Into Season 2 Discovery, They go all the way to the 32nd century. It's the 3100s, but they call it the 31st century.
What?
I don't understand.
Was it a COVID century and we just skipped that century and we don't talk about
I don't know. They don't even know how that works. And I swear to God that happens. I keep thinking I can't be right about this, but anyway, I hope I'm wrong somehow. I really don't think I am. There's not one time any talk whatsoever about trying to figure out how to go back in time and get back to where you belong. They just act like we're in the future now. We're stuck here. And I'm like, it's Star Trek. You guys could be talking about some way to get back. And like the reason they went forward was so that an evil AI couldn't get its hands on some information that's in their computer. But like that's the reason they go to the future. So it's like they're just gonna dump that problem on somebody else in the future, I guess. And it's like, well, you can't go find some other ship? You can't just leave that there? There's no talk? What? I can't even deal with it. This is not like, you don't just not do this in Star Trek. You don't do this in anything. How's there never any, we got to figure out how to get back to our time. Partly because we have lives there, and partly because you're like, you're ruining a timeline by being there. You took yourself out of a timeline, so you've now, affected your, like, what are we? I just can't even have it. I can't deal with it. So, yeah, I don't actually really tolerate these things, or when I do, I shouldn't. I don't know what thing it would take where I just would be done with the channel. Like, I don't know that would happen. I could see getting to a place where I dislike enough current that I'm just only going to talk retro. And I've gotten, like, closer and closer to that over the years. But that's about as far as I would go, I think. If and when I'm ever done with the channel, it won't be over that, probably.
It'll be because of Dan.
I did not kill Brandon. Brandon is fine. But I bought lunch. Yeah. I bought lunch for him the next day. It was like
Spider-Man 3 where I like punched him in the face and knocked him on the ground, and then he looked down at the Star Trek DVD they were watching, and then he like went to a church. It was a whole thing.
I had this out-of-body experience, man. Like, J Forever King, so that's why Spock never mentioned his sister. Now I get it, Alex Kurtzman. Oh, yeah, it's worse than that. It's because everybody at the end of that season is given a laundry list of things that were never told about in later shows that they did in this show to never bring up under penalty of treason. That's how they get around it. Yep. You can't mention the Spore Drive. You can't mention Michael Burnham. You can't mention the Mirror Universe. That's how they get around that. Then they go to the 32nd century, and they tell everybody about all that stuff. Yep.
Sounds great.
You shouldn't have brought that up. Anyway, moving right along. I apologize.
Well, me and Dan are scared of Cap. Like,
I get sucked into a vortex every time this comes up. I can't deal with it.
All right. Thank you for your.
Lewis Cox, Lower Decks seemed good, Cap. Yeah, it's not. I watched, or at least to me, I reviewed that pilot with Brandon. I hated it. It's not what Star Trek should be. It's a parody of Star Trek. How the heck is it canon? None of that makes any sense. Like it's just a straight up goofy parody thing, and we've done that better with other stuff, especially Futurama. So first of all, it sucks at that, and then secondly, it's somehow canonical. And then months go by, I never bothered watching anymore. I finally went, I'll give it another shot. I don't know, I hate everything about this, but whatever, I'll try it. And then I watched 10 minutes. I'm on my elliptical exercising. I do my elliptical 20 minutes a night every night before I go to bed. I'm watching stuff while I'm doing that. I'm like, whatever, I'll put on this stupid show and see if it maybe somehow gets a little bit better. Dan, I had to get off my elliptical and turn it off. I got 10 minutes and I couldn't do it. Like, I gave it the good old college try. They get to Kronos, I couldn't deal with it. I was done. Nicholas Montes, any thoughts on Star Trek Prodigy? No. I've not watched that. I really don't want to. I never want to say I won't with this stuff, because I've sampled everything so far except for that. Dan, that show is just them pretty clearly from the... And people that have watched it told me this too, but pretty clearly from the advertising, it's just them doing Rebels. It doesn't even look like Star Trek at all.
Oh, weird. Are you at least excited that they're going to do a fourth movie with the, rebooted cast?
No. because I don't know anything about that yet. The rumor has been rebooted cast. The last thing I heard about that, and my information might not be up to date, the last thing I heard about that was they went with one of the writers from WandaVision, and
the creator of that show is the director, apparently.
Yes, and Abrams is a producer on it, but none of that tells us if any of that cast is coming back.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know if there's been more information after that has said for sure anybody signed on. But all the information I read when that happened a few months ago was we don't know for sure if it's that cast. Now, Abrams producing, I'd be surprised if it wasn't, but we don't actually know that for sure.
Oh, okay. Interessante.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to... I was going to say I didn't mean to take over. I mean, I realized that my name's in the title.
No.
But...
You took over the show called The Captain Logan Show. How dare you?
Dan's my guest, though. I don't mean to just, like, not let anybody else have the floor. Somebody brought up that show. I got triggered, you guys.
I just don't have anything
Trigger warning.
else to
Make
say
sure you put
about
that.
Star Trek, and I know DJ, like, you're not a huge Star Trek fan either, so we were just letting you go. Let it rip.
Mr. Roboto, but Cap, it has Janeway. Oh, but it doesn't have Janeway. It has a Janeway hologram who is somehow there. I don't know if Voyager's gotten back from the Delta Quadrant already, but nothing about that. No, it's later, and she's still wearing the Voyager uniform, and they've already switched to the silver at that point, so I don't know why she's got that. I don't know why there would be a hologram of a random captain who got lost in the Delta Quadrant on that ship, but okay. I've not actually watched that pilot, but that whole premise is bizarre. And it seems like it's just there so that they can claim it's Star Trek. Anyway.
Chewbacca's lover. People like how seriously Dune takes itself. It can be as weird as it is without making fun of itself. Feels really different from most blockbusters.
That's very true.
Yes.
And that's just the way that guy makes movies. If he's allowed to work without a net, that's what you're going to get. And that's great.
Yeah. No, that movie was very refreshing because it was a kind of, epic, high-concept blockbuster that also... It wasn't, like, incredibly self-serious in a cringy way, but it, like, didn't feel the need to have, like, comedy scenes that undermined the tone and the characters and the arcs that it was trying to tell a story about. I really appreciated that.
Wait, Dan, you mean you don't have to have your hero throw a ball at a window and smash himself in the face to show he's just like all of us? Because that's what I think.
I think the biggest mistake in the universe would be trying to make Dune accessible, like completely accessible to every kind of person on the planet. And obviously they make it more accessible than arguably the 80s movie, and some other kinds of ways you could take that. Like it's not as talky and not as much about, at least in discussions and things, the like philosophy and existential stuff as that book is. And Sarah and I have talked about that in private. She was telling me about that, but like I don't see how it could be and not be 4 hours long. Like some of that is more about just the medium than it even is about the commercial nature of it, I think.
Yeah, I think they got a lot of the I don't know if this is the central theme of the book, but I feel like the movie got a lot of the kind of criticism about feudalism and imperialism and all those kind of things into the movie well enough that it wasn't like beating you over the head with it, but like it's just sort of inherent with like the situations the characters are placed in. Like, Paul is kind of like a prince, and his family is inheriting this great responsibility that he doesn't really understand at first, and it's like a coming of age story for him, and the universe is dependent on this resource. It's a metaphor for a lot of things that go on in the real world, and it didn't, like, I don't know, feel the need to tell you like this is what you should think about it. It's just like a part of the world of the movie, and I love that stuff about it. It's so cool.
Yeah, and Yeah, I don't know why they keep giving Denis Villeneuve so much money to make these movies, but
Yeah.
I hope they keep doing it, and I'll keep
Same.
watching them. I don't know why the corporate suits are doing it, because it doesn't really make sense for them, but I love it, and I'm going to keep watching them.
I want to think that he's got something over them all, right? Or like there's an email that he's going to send out when he gets fired that's going to ruin all of the suits' like lives somehow, and we're getting decent art out of it. That's what's happening.
Yeah, he's awesome.
All these corporate execs, he's got them all over a barrel.
Adeline 499 Cap, have you seen Payback 1999 or Payback from 1999? There is an evil rich tycoon type villain who seems perfect for Jason Wynn if they ever made a Spawn reboot.
Oh, cool. And of course, I mean, he'd be 21 years older. But yeah, interesting. No, I haven't seen that. And of course, that's 2 years after the not great Spawn movie that we did get.
Payback. Interesting.
I've heard of that. I don't know anything about it. DJ, how many more super chats do we have, man?
I see 5, sir.
Okay.
Yes, 5.
Well, I'll believe you. I think you must have the ability to do that kind of math.
Counting.
Yeah.
That kind of math. Lewis Cox, hey, Cap, please do a commentary for the Sonic movie.
You know, I'm actually considering doing that. I've been kicking that around. I don't know if I would do that on one of these Friday streams I've been doing with Austin, or if I would just do it on my own. I've kicked around, because I only saw that once, and I gave it a pretty negative review, and I really didn't care for it. There's things about it that are better than it ought to have been, but I was really resisting the public love for that movie, because I felt like it was really superficial, and it was just all about, oh good, he looks like Sonic, so now the movie is good. And I felt like if it came out, if he had looked like that from the beginning and that was the movie people got, people would have been a lot more critical of it, because it's so
awful.
I think it is.
It's insane that worked. Like, we all had to eat our hats. Like, we're like, it doesn't matter if you change what he looks like, it's not going to make it a good movie. And it worked. It made so much money.
But all I said was it won't make it a good movie, and I was right. I didn't say it won't make it successful, but I didn't think it would be. I didn't think it would be that successful. No, it was bizarre.
It's
and
it's the Smurfs and Alvin and the Chipmunks, but with Sonic the Hedgehog. That's exactly what it is.
And maybe
like, it's like, oh,
slightly...
wacky suburban dude encounters weird anthropomorphic character.
They're plugging in for a formula.
That's the next Mania that Cap's doing, starting with Clifford. So
they're plugging in for a formula. Now that's the thing that'll make me quit the channel. They're plugging in for a formula. They're playing it safe. They're not taking any risks. You've heard me say all these things before about lots of things, but like especially this. But I've considered doing another watch of it just because it's so liked for some reason. Like it might be interesting to give it a second watch and see if adjusting, like, now that I know what I'm getting myself into, there's more I appreciate and latch onto. Like, I kind of doubt it. I don't want to go into it being just like I'm gonna this whole time like screaming how terrible this movie is, but like I kind of want to maybe give it another shot, kind of. But I thought about doing a semi-blind watch where, like, I've seen it before, but I wouldn't actually prepare ahead of time, and you could just see my reaction of you know re-experiencing it. Maybe it's a little better, maybe it's not. I don't know. I'm considering doing that.
Well, I have a question, Cap.
Yeah.
What would you do to prepare to watch the Sonic movie?
Well, I just mean watching it again. Just
okay, I see what you mean.
When I say prepare for a commentary, I just mean I've got it in my head. I watched it again.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay.
Yeah, these days I tend to do that. There was a time where I went into most commentaries without having seen the movie in a while, and I just like to be a little bit more polished than that now. I usually watch the thing right before I see it again, and that's what I'm thinking about not doing. But anyway.
Yeah, I hope that the second Sonic movie is much more of a kind of animated thing that's an adaptation of the games, but it probably won't be. I wish that the first movie was more like the approach that they're taking, regardless of the quality, but at least in concept, what they're doing at Illumination with Mario, where it's just kind of an animated movie almost entirely, completely entirely in that case, I guess. But it's much more of a closer adaptation of the universe of the games and the story.
Yeah.
What little there is within,
Yeah,
So
why in the world do we need to see Sonic come into the real world and run it?
Yeah.
Like, what?
that's
Why?
what I don't want, and that's where I'm going to slightly disagree with you, Dan. Is that I think Sonic actually would be much better served than Mario with some real life elements, but I don't want it to be the world we live in. I think the idea of having an almost completely CG Sonic movie where Robotnik is played by a real actor, and even Jim Carrey, I think is a good casting, could be really great. But I don't want Sonic here, and I don't want regular looking people.
I don't want James
and
Marsden.
I've never
going,
liked that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just another nail in the horrible, sad story that's James Marsden's career. Like, I need a documentary about that guy. But it would be
Well,
so
I guess,
depressing.
except that movie performed, but I need him to not be in the sequel. I'm sure he will be.
He will be.
Dragging back.
Dan, my prediction is the Sonic sequel will be exactly the same thing as Out of the Shadows was for Ninja Turtles. I think it'll be exactly that. It'll be a sequel that panders to the fan audience in exactly the wrong way, where they sort of give us what we said we wanted, but they don't understand any of it, so they do it poorly and lamely. Like, oh, you wanted an Asian guy to be Shredder. Okay, we'll put this Asian guy in a smock, give him nothing to say, and talk about how scary he was last movie when he didn't actually do anything. You know, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, you want Krang? Okay, we'll just have him keep punching his brain back into his chest the entire movie. It'll be unwatchable garbage, but with fan service. And then people will this time decide they've had enough of that, and they won't make another one because he won't perform. Or at least that's what I'm hoping will happen.
I can't believe that they got Idris Elba to be Knuckles in that movie. That's insane. What is he doing?
Making money.
Let me go back a second and say I'm not hoping that that's the movie they make. I just think it will be. But if that's the movie they make, I'm hoping that the audience reaction is more like it was for that second Ninja Turtles movie.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see. I am cautiously optimistic about that Mario movie that Illumination is making, even though Chris Pratt is Mario and the cast they announced. I hope that the script is good, and it's like Shigeru Miyamoto was really involved with producing it and stuff. I hope that it turns out good. I hope, but I'm not overly optimistic about it necessarily either. I guess we'll see.
I have always said with that movie, I've been coining a phrase lately. Maybe I'm not the first person that's ever said this, but lately I've been saying I'm cautiously pessimistic, which means that I don't trust it, but I'm open to it surprising me. It's Illumination.
Yeah.
I want to say there's no way that's anything like what I want, and it won't stoop to some of the same lows those have before. My prediction is it will be tamer in the potty humor area, but it will still be kind of a crap script. That's what I think we'll end up getting with that. But I'm cautiously pessimistic in the sense that that's what I think will happen. But boy, I hope I'm wrong. But I can't say optimistic, because optimistic means I have hope, and I don't have that. I'm just open to it. John Kelling says, you know who should have been Knuckles? Chris Pratt!
Maniac Madness 11, do you think it's becoming impossible to avoid spoilers? Depends on what you do.
It's harder than it ever has been, certainly. It depends on what sacrifices you're willing to make, right? If you turn your phone off and get off social media entirely and don't accept phone calls from anyone you know, you certainly can avoid spoilers. I guess there's always the chance that there's a billboard that gives something away on the way to the movie theater. But, it's not impossible, but to live your life the way you normally do, and you interact with people that online and offline that are interested in the stuff that you're interested in, it gets difficult. It gets nigh impossible.
Yeah, I think it's also people have been in this thing so much that it depends on your habits. So social media will stop showing you that stuff if you stop clicking on it, or if you I'm on social media quite a bit, and I don't know a thing about Eternals. All I know is the title, and that you liked it, and that it's something to do with space. I'm on social media quite a bit, and I haven't gotten any of that stuff. But it's because I never, ever click on that stuff when it does come in, and they will say not interested if it shows up on Instagram or something. So I think you can. I think you just have to. It's just a completely yeah, like Cap said, it's completely changing your lifestyle habits that some people, it takes a lot. It's a big change.
I'm in a weird position. It's hard for me with this job, certainly.
Yeah,
like
that's
if
why I
I
said
didn't
it depends
do
what you do.
this, and I was more in DJ's boat, and I mean, obviously DJ is involved in this whole thing, but he's not getting direct messages from people on Facebook that watch the channel spoiling stuff from movies. And I'm not calling anybody out, but I'm not going to say that's never happened. So you know, it's a little bit of a different ballgame.
Yeah, it's a bummer that happens. Sometimes that'll happen in the Discord, but not like big spoilery things, because we have spoiler chats for those. But sometimes something that I didn't know will pop up, but it's not like a big deal.
DJ, I'm sorry for spoiling the last thing that you see in the Eternals movie.
I've already forgotten what you said.
Oh, it's such a big spoiler. The Eternals will return.
Oh,
they say that at the end of all their movies.
Missed opportunity to use Connor that joke.
For a lot of or a lot of their movies anyway. Although I thought it was really funny that Shang-Chi actually didn't have that. Shang-Chi didn't say Shang-Chi will return, but it did say that the Ten Rings will return. It promised that. Yeah.
Well, the first after credit scene in Shang-Chi was like saying that without saying that. It was just like, look, he's hanging out with all these people. I won't spoil. I don't know if Dan's seen that yet.
True, but I haven't. No. But I do think it's really funny. The Ten Rings will return. All right. Yay, I guess.
I think Shang-Chi comes out on Disney Plus tomorrow. So.
Oh, awesome.
Oh yeah,
I know that. Watch it soon.
I know the Blu-ray comes out the 30th, which I'm really looking forward to because it looks like Cap. I did a rant on here a couple of weeks ago about the new Target exclusive packaging. It looks like with Shang-Chi they're bringing back the good packaging again. So.
Oh, good. Maybe I'll buy that.
Based on the images I've seen, so I'm excited. It looks really cool too. It's got custom art.
I'll buy that so DJ doesn't beat me up because he likes that movie more than I do.
We've established with Far From Home that I don't hate people that disagree with me on movies. I'm not going to beat up anybody. Bob the Hun, thoughts on Death Note?
He could, though. Importantly, he could, though.
Oh, wait, sorry, I skipped one. Lewis Cox. Pixar is making Lightyear, I believe.
Oh, because it was kind of making a big deal out of, like, it's an in conjunction thing, and I realized that they're all, like, Disney Pixar things, but something about the advertising, it really made it look like it was more of a collaboration than it has been, but I may be wrong about that.
Yeah, I tried to look this up when this comic came in while you were talking, and I couldn't really find anything exact on it. But it is showing in Wikipedia that the production companies are Walt Disney Pictures and Pixar, but I looked up Luca and Soul, and they both say the same thing, so I don't know.
If it is different. Officially in the Pixar slate, then we can be fairly certain that that's the animation house.
Yeah, I think that's what it is, but it's interesting that the advertising was different, like you said.
Oh, tomorrow is... Can I ask you guys a question about this real quick? Tomorrow is Disney Plus Day. Is that, like, big announcements of stuff we don't know about that I'm going to have to do a whole show on next week? Or is that just, like them picking a day to be all advertisey and put out another big movie or something? Like, I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, I got an email for that. It's just, like, a big push to get new subscribers. Like, if you sign up tomorrow, you can get a free month for like $1.99 or something.
From what I've read, they need that right now. Apparently, they've stagnated pretty much with growth with Disney Plus, or they're not getting anything like the growth that they expected to keep getting right now.
Well, I've got to imagine that that's going to stagnate at some point. Like, what do you do? Like, it's Disney stuff, it's Star Wars stuff. You're not getting more stuff. You're just making more of the same stuff. So, like, what? Who hasn't heard of Disney Plus? That's like, oh, what's this?
What's the thing that comes out this month that makes a person finally sign up for that hasn't? I mean, the only way you'd get growth is if you have people that come in to watch the one thing they care about, leave, and then there's new things they care about, which is, of course, the reason that you would keep putting new material out. But, yeah, I don't know why they would experience constant... But, I mean, that's the big corporate mentality. If we don't do, like, 30% over where we were last year, we're failing.
Yeah, they need unlimited growth in order to justify shareholder interest, that kind of thing.
I think Dan should talk like that all the time.
Well, yeah, I mean, it doesn't make sense to keep putting money into projects when you're still getting the same amount of money every year. I mean, yeah. It's weird. It's weird. But yeah, it's not any announcements or anything. It's just like Blue Dragon 5 says it's the anniversary of when the service launched. So they're just kind of doing a big push.
Can I ask another?
So dropping Jungle Cruise and Shang-Chi was the big two things that they said are coming tomorrow too.
Ooh, Jungle Cruise. I'm watching that. So, let me ask a somewhat related question. This is going to sound like it comes out of nowhere, but it doesn't. Does Disney own ESPN? Yes. Do you guys know this? They do. Okay, yes, they do. That would explain that. Because basketball is back, and I've been watching it. And in the bottom right-hand corner for entire games, it's been advertising Disney Plus there. And I'm like, if they don't own ESPN, they must have put up big money for that.
Well,
They own Disney. Obviously, Disney Plus is their service. ESPN and Hulu buy them as like a package.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is that package has been advertised to me for years and years and years and years, and I can't do it because I do Hulu TV, and they don't have a package that includes Hulu TV, which is annoying.
Oh, really? That seems like a big oversight. Like, that's weird.
I don't know. It must be something with like the TV rights or something, like the way the stations work or the channels. I don't know, but it's so annoying. They keep trying to get me to sign up. You can get ESPN and Hulu for cheaper. I'm like, no, I can't because I have Hulu TV. Stop that's another thing I want to just not interested in. And stop sending me just
that sucks. Okay, so this is gonna be really self-indulgent to me, and I should do this while we're not recording, but I'm gonna ask right now anyway while I'm thinking about it. Yeah. DJ, I haven't had Hulu TV in a long time. I used to pay for that again to watch basketball. Sure. Right now I'm doing Sling, which I'm not real happy with because you don't get enough stuff for your bang for your buck. But like Hulu used to be $40 a month, and now it's like 60 or 65. Like it's gotten really expensive. Can you DVR with that?
You can. That's the main reason I keep it. My wife likes sports. I don't care about sports. My wife likes some reality TV shows, so we have it for that. But the main reason I do it is so I can record movies on TCM because they play a bunch of classics that I haven't seen yet, and I record a ton of those. What I hate and what might be the deciding factor for you and has with the reason why I've considered switching to YouTube. YouTube's big thing, YouTube TV, is they have DVR also, but it's unlimited.
Yes. Which I used to use because my father-in-law paid for it for the entire family, but I was the only person using it, so he quit buying it. And it was really nice of him. The period I was able to do that was wonderful because I could watch live TV and I could tape on. Like, I taped every college basketball game that year because it was unlimited. It was great. Sling gives you like 10 hours if you pay $5 a month for it, or no, like 50 or 100 hours if you pay $5 a month. They give you 10 hours for free. And so like I have that right now with that, but I'm not loving it, so I don't know. Like I'm kicking around. I don't want to pay that much, but I'm kicking it around. I don't know. So yeah, thanks for that information because I wasn't sure if you could do it. It's the
exact same thing. So here's mine. I have a bunch of movies recorded. I have right now 38.9 hours out of 50. So they give you 50 hours for the standard base level, and just like Sling, if you pay more, I think you can get either more hours or maybe unlimited. I don't know. I haven't looked into that yet, but I have to constantly watch these movies to get them off my list so that because if you record something and you don't have any more space, it'll just delete the first thing on there. So I've lost movies that I wanted to watch that way. It was really annoying.
Okay, well, thanks for letting us be indulgent about that. That's not going to be interesting to anybody else probably. But anyway, Mercer Create, $2 Super Chat. Orville Season 3 will be on Hulu. They have a teaser out. I didn't know about the teaser. I didn't know that was moving to Hulu. I'm, of course, very excited about that. It's one of the only TV shows that's on right now that I truly love. And I want to try to go back and rewatch the first few seasons before that comes out. Because people keep asking me things about that. It's been so long since I've seen it. I can't even remember character names. It's a problem. So I need to rewatch that. And my wife hasn't seen all of it yet, and she loves it too. So I need to watch it with her. But anyway, we are past time. DJ, are there any other, besides that one that I just read, are there any other super chats I need to try to just blow through real quick?
There's two quick ones.
Okay, great.
But I don't know how quick this will be. Thoughts on Death Note? I know you've been watching it, from Bob the Hun.
Okay, so thanks for the super chat. I'm not going to talk anymore about Death Note right now. I did a little mini, like 10-minute review on that on the show last week. Didn't mean for it to be a review, but I started talking about it. I am still watching it. I'm still enjoying it. People are right. The back half is not as good as the front half. That's all I'll say right now. I am like 10 episodes away, I think, from the end. Blowing through that. They're 20 minutes, so it's really easy to throw those in and knock them out in chunks during the day and when I'm exercising and stuff. So I am kicking around an idea, and I'd love to hear people's thoughts on this. This is the first of 2 semi-announcements I want to make tonight, right here at the close of the show. Because I just remembered that tattoo thing I was going to tell you guys about. So, people have been begging me to review anime. And Death Note watching that is partly because I've been getting a lot of interest in anime on the channel, and I was curious about watching some stuff and trying to get into that a little bit, and I've gotten a lot of feedback and a lot of interest in that. And so I want to review Death Note in some way, and I'm considering making a pilot for a semi-regular anime series on the channel. And what I'm kicking around doing with it is, instead of rewind length or spoiler cast length, where I try to talk, every aspect of the thing, get into all the nook and crannies, what I'm kicking around doing is kind of a Q&A thing with it, where fans of that or people that have watched that can give me questions about the show, where I address just particular aspects you really want me to talk about. And they would be shorter videos. My thinking is 15 minutes to half an hour, maybe more like even 15, 20 minutes, where it would basically be like a newbie watched an anime and then answered questions from people that actually know what they're talking about. Because I don't have anything, at the moment anyway, to really compare these things to. I feel really out of my depth, out of my element. But that's the reason people seem to want me to talk about it, is it would be interesting with so much anime content on YouTube right now, and it's so much more popular than it has been in the last few years. People think it would be interesting to have a voice like mine with somebody that has no idea what he's talking about trying to get into this. And I think the best way to handle that might be to let you guys help me drive the conversation and to make them shorter videos instead of my just kind of droning on about it. So that's my thinking. People tell me what you think about that as an idea. I'm thinking about shooting a pilot, like I said, for that when I finish Death Note, maybe the end of the month, maybe the beginning of next month, where real casual, I would just sit down and read your questions, get them all ahead of time. That's probably not a live show. That's probably just, I take a number of questions and kick them out. So that's what I'm thinking about doing with Death Note. And possibly more anime stuff after that.
People are excited. People are freaking out in the chat. OAW Entertainment is using a lot of exclamation points.
I think that's probably the right way to handle that. I think it would be more relaxing and less daunting for me if I did it like that and less spoiler casty.
I know that would be interesting for me, who has not seen any anime, to see another noob try stuff out, and especially someone who knows me and can tell me what maybe I would like, because he knows my taste a little bit. But that's interesting. That's cool.
Well, obviously I would use those questions to get into particular things with that I really wanted to make sure and bring up. It wouldn't just be real quick yes or no answers. You guys know how I answer questions. That's all I do here on this show. And of course I would give you probably sign flips and a real quick synopsis and broad thoughts. But that's what I'm thinking about doing with that.
All right, well, last one is from the Captain Kuhn, which is based on what we were talking about earlier. Eternals will more than likely get a sequel. The only MCU film to not get a sequel is The Incredible Hulk, because it was a one-off with another studio. Yeah, I know there's a lot of rights things with that.
Well, the only one so far, because Black Widow probably won't get a sequel.
Yeah, that's true.
Or I'd be real surprised.
I hope not, with that horrendous after-credits scene that they were trying to set up.
Well, let's all just call a spade. That's not a movie. That's a truncated Disney Plus show that they cobbled down to a movie.
That's just a
sure how it watches to me.
Explanation to get another Black Widow in the universe. So we have one still.
Yeah, and she could get a movie,
very poor explanation.
But I think she's a lot more likely to get a Disney Plus show. Let me also say that Captain Marvel is kind of getting a sequel, but the Marvels thing strikes me as a direct response to the kind of mixed reaction to that movie. So yes, she's going to be in that movie, and she kind of is getting a sequel. But I think if Eternals gets a sequel, it's more likely to be something like that, where it's going to be a step in a different direction, if that actually happens.
Well, that is all she wrote. That's the last one I've got.
Cool. Well, thanks a lot, folks, for watching the show and taking us all the way to 2 hours. You guys make it possible to do this, and you guys have a lot to do with keeping it interesting. So thanks so much for all the insightful and interesting and fun questions. And thanks even for the confusing questions, because those are always fun for me to try to figure out and interpret. Dan, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. I'm glad
of course
that we got to see you. And I'm sorry for all the talk about things that you don't care about.
No, of course. It's all good. Thank you guys for having me, as always. It was good to be here. Thank you.
And we'll see him back in March. So, coming right up on on Patreon anyway is a new Captain Logan After Dark. I need to change that title because I called it Captain Logan After Dark in the first place in case I ever showed up and was the only one, and that show keeps having the largest panels of anything we do on the channel. I don't know why that is. So Dan's going to stick around for that unless he falls asleep. That's fine, whatever. And then Brandon is here, over here eating looks like croissants and stuff from Quick Trip, and Austin will also pop in, possibly late. He'll possibly be there right on time. I don't know. Everybody brought a topic. If they didn't, they'll be ejected from the call. I have too many panelists. I don't need all you people. And I brought a topic that sucks, but I have it. So come for that. It's going to be so exciting. I am sure you'll get more of this kind of sassiness from me, except with 100% more expletives. And in the meantime, thanks so much for being here. If you're on Patreon, or if you want to become a patron to see that nonsense, go to patreon.com/geekvolution. $2 tier gets you access to that, and I will have a link up for you in about 5-10 minutes to join us on that show. So it's 9:15 here right now, so expect that to start somewhere between 9:30 9:35, and we'll see you there for that. I was Captain Logan. This was DJ Martinez.
Bye, everybody. Have fun. Thanks for the questions.
And the magnanimous Dan Torrey.
Bye.
Thanks, folks. Bye, everybody. I didn't have any play out music, did I? Because we had the everybody has feelings except Dan thing. So Dan, play us out. Give us some play out music.